The other day, I was watching a YouTube video. I should say that by other day, I actually mean months ago. And I should say that by watching a YouTube video, I actually mean laying on my couch at 11:30 in the night, wrapped around in blankets, like a beautiful and warm and cozy burrito, staring blankly at my computer screen, while the fairly recent YouTube autoplay function chooses the video narrative of the night. Exciting. As it happens, the algorithmic gods of Google made me stumble upon a video about something called the Landauer limit. This 20-minute-ish video by YouTuber Up and Atom, that's atom, as in the smallest unit of matter, talks about this concept which sort of connects computer science and thermodynamics. According to her, the Landauer limit is a physical limit on computation. In a nutshell, it proposes that for every logical operation made on a computer chip, it says that there will be an energy loss corresponding to the rise in entropy of the system in the form of heat. A pair of bits go in, logic gate does magic. One bit comes out telling us the result of the operation, and heat is also released in the process. And that heat is the Landauer limit. Just for the sake of curiosity, the limit is 1.2 times 10 to the minus 21 joule. That's 0.0000000000000000000000000000021 joule. But who's counting the zeros anyway? Now, that scientific part is not really relevant, and to be honest, I don't really care about it. I'll leave the discovering and then after overcoming physical and computational limits part to the genius engineers, mathematicians, and physicists at IBM, NASA, CERN, also Microsoft, OpenAI, and the likes. What I really care about is something Up and Atom said, and I quote, "All we know is that if there are fewer output states than input states, the laws of physics guarantee it must consume a certain quantity of energy. This is why it's sometimes said that the Landauer limit gives the energy value of information itself." As I was listening to this, already half asleep and with my back aching since my couch is a tiny bit too small for me, I started looking around in my room and my gaze fell upon specific objects. Firstly, my broken rainbow umbrella that I found when coming back home from a party extremely late in the night with my friend and then housemate Sabina. I've had it for 3 years now and of course never used it. Then, my Nintendo Switch, which I bought from an Italian guy off of Facebook Marketplace. He had recently broken up with his girlfriend and decided that I was the right person to vent to about the matter. I guess I represented the comfort of being an unbiased stranger. I looked in at my old passive speakers, stashed away in a corner that I brought with me from Portugal, actually. They firstly belonged to my sister. I think they were a Christmas present from my grandmother's to her. They're with me since I moved to Lisbon when I was 18, to study there in my first bachelor's. After gazing these objects, I reached for my cup of annoyingly cold rooibos tea. I remember that my friend Dustin was the one to introduce me to rooibos tea. He used to make this rooibos-based drink with milk and honey, but I forget the name now, actually. As I then put my cup down on my red coffee table, I remember that I got it from the couple living next door to me. During the first Corona lockdown, people were really into cleansing their houses of unwanted stuff, and they wanted to put this IKEA coffee table in the trash. One person's trash is another person's treasure in the end. While these memories came flooding in, it seemed impossible not to make a connection in my head between what I had just heard from that video and how I felt emotionally connected to all these objects. I think I was realizing that the objects I had in front of me weren't really merely objects. They were physical manifestations of my experiences, memories, friends, acquaintances, travels, conversations. I do have to say that these thoughts feel kind of religious, like when communion bread is blessed and becomes the body of Christ in Holy Mass. I'm well acquainted with this Catholic ritual. I've been to many of them in my lifetime. In any case, what I actually want to say is that something else seems to be at play here. It might perhaps sound like a conceptual leap, but if indeed information is energy, as Up and Adam seems to point to in her video, how ridiculous is it to think that when I interact with another person or environment, their stories and settings become imbued in the objects they're associated with, and therefore imbued in me. A metaphysical and, well, magical exchange of energy seems to fragment my being. I like to think that I become a collage of all those with whom I have come in contact with. My personhood is therefore not only composed of my own identity, but also has a bit of Sabina, a bit of the Italian guy, a bit of the 14-year-old from whom I bought the DJ controller from, and a bit of Peter the electrician from whom I bought an oscilloscope. Like the couple next door from whom I got the red coffee table, I had tried several times to purge my room from some objects. One of my roommates once even told me, "Pedro, when I enter your room, I feel attacked by all the stuff you have here." But in my mind, to throw away that useless umbrella would mean forgetting that drunken bike ride home with Sabina. To throw away this piece of curtain I once used for a performance which has since then become useless would be putting said performance behind my back, almost as if it had never happened. To throw away that ugly ashtray my ex-partner left behind when moving out of the Netherlands would be denying our relationship had ever happened, even if we haven't spoken to one another since 2021. Now, as I speak to you today, my voice is being analyzed and translated into a score that the musicians here on stage are asked to interpret and follow. I wonder then, have their instruments with the bows and the keys and the mouthpieces become extensions of my body and therefore extensions of me? Have their fingers, their wrists, their breath, their teeth, and their vocal cords become physical manifestations of my personhood? And in return, are bits of my biological body, which in the end is just energy condensed in gigantic molecular structures, slowly replaced by their own identities? I'd like to think yes. I find it beautiful that this is how I bring them with me throughout my whole life. And in a weird way, this actually empowers me. The fact that I exist, that we exist in a confined, perhaps better said, caged state of being. But with the aid of digital technology, we are able to realize that as human beings, we connect in ways that are not tangible to human senses. Or maybe this is just a convoluted way of me escaping from the organic reality I live in and have to deal with, especially when reality has its moments of sickness, sorrow, sadness, and depression. When I feel diminished, but this is now tending towards pseudoscience-powered, semi-hopeful dreams of a future where my body, my whole existence even, is bigger and brighter than this biological sack of flesh and bones, which I'm cursed and blessed to wander in.